These days, it's common to hear the term perfect storm applied to any event arising from a combination of a unique set of circumstances. One recent survey dubbed it the most overused cliché in the media. But to most meteorologists, the perfect storm was an actual storm that went on to star in its own best-selling book and Hollywood-hyped movie. The 20th anniversary of the real perfect storm is this weekend. Its unusual track, bizarre ending, and Penn State connection make it quite the story. On October 28, 1991, a low-pressure system formed along a cold front southeast of Nova Scotia and deepened rapidly. Not that unusual this time of year in this area. Meanwhile, a hurricane named Grace was near Bermuda, about 700 miles to the south. By the next day, the cold front caught up to Grace, and the hurricane's moisture was pulled into the circulation of the storm, which moved south and then west and continued deepening, reaching peak intensity on October 30th. The huge pressure difference between the storm and a high over eastern Canada created very strong northeast winds with a long fetch over the water. By Halloween evening, the storm had weakened, its center about 250 miles offshore, but by then it had already done most of its damage. A buoy 200 miles east of Cape Cod reported a significant wave height of almost 40 feet. That's the average height of the highest third of the waves. The Andrea Gale, the boat immortalized in the Perfect Storm movie, last reported from this location with wind gusts above 90 miles per hour. On land, winds reached 78 miles per hour on Cape Cod and 63 at Newport, Rhode Island. But most damage onshore was from heavy surf and coastal flooding. In Kennebunkport, Maine, the storm flooded the vacation home of then-President George Bush, while in Massachusetts, hundreds of homes were damaged or destroyed, and property loss was in the hundreds of millions of dollars. The storm had one more strange twist left. It was now over a section of the Gulf Stream with water temperatures near 80, and thunderstorms began forming in bands near its center. By the wee hours of November 1st, it had become a tropical storm, and 12 hours later, an Air Force reconnaissance plane confirmed it had a warm core and winds of hurricane force. The storm completed a counterclockwise loop and raced northeast, making landfall in Nova Scotia on November 2nd as a tropical storm. It was never given a name because officials thought that would cause confusion because the hurricane was expected to be short-lived and only a problem at sea, and the news media were still focused on the massive damage that had already been done. It was just called the Halloween storm until freelance journalist and author Sebastian Junger called up Bob Case, a Penn State graduate who was the meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service's Boston office at the time of the storm. Case told Junger that an unprecedented set of circumstances had come together to create a perfect situation for a very strong storm. And the rest, as they say, is history. Paul Knight is back with the extended forecast next.